ancient Rome. Rome was allegedly founded by Romulus and Remus, twin sons of Mars who were raised by a wolf named Lupa. Romulus killed Remus and made himself king. At the beginning, Rome was a small community of farmers, escaped slaves, and outlaws. The city was built on 7 hills in the Italian peninsula, which were a natural fencing against invaders. Don't see them? That's because it's actually really hard to build 7 hills in Minecraft. Use your imagination. The Alps and the Alpine Mountains protected Rome from attacks as well. They built roads with many layers, and some of them still exist today. We have the temples where Romans went to pray. Inside the temples, they left offerings for the gods, like sacrificed chickens, cows, and sheep. Later on, if they were feeling a little less gruesome, they could just leave money. This is a temple to the god Jupiter. The Romans often made temples and statues of the gods, like this statue of Jupiter. Doesn't it look just like him? Well, it's weathered and old, so what do you expect? This is a temple of the god Mars. Over here is the Pantheon, which is a temple to worship all the gods and goddesses of ancient Rome. At first, they worshipped the Greek gods, but then changed their names. For example, Zeus was called Jupiter in ancient Rome. They also adopted gods from Egypt and Persia, and made hybrid Egyptian-Roman gods when they conquered Egypt. In 100 AD, Christianity was introduced. Instead of worshipping many gods, they only worshipped one. It was considered a threat to the empire. In 313 AD, Emperor Constantine converted to Christianity, and 70 years later, Christianity was the official religion of the Roman Empire. They read the Bible and followed the 10 Commandments. Amphitheaters were big open-air stadiums that hosted events. In this amphitheater, people put on gladiator fights, chariot races, and animal executions. Early on, people used a barter system, traded cattle for horses, furniture, armor, and other things. In 268 BC, silver and bronze coins were introduced. Here's a vendor at a Roman market. These markets were huge. People could buy food, spices, shoes, perfume, rope, wine, olive oil, salt, silk, leather, marble, and many, many other things. With more taxes, Rome increased its trade and colonized new territories. Unfortunately, the Roman army brought back slaves with them, which made it harder for people to find a living because the lower class jobs were taken by slaves. Roman architecture is quite unique. They used lots of arches and columns. They built with marble and limestone because there was a lot around. Romans also invented concrete and glass windows. The Romans had huge public baths to get clean and socialize. They had a warm bath, a hot bath, and a cold bath, so even Goldilocks would like them. This is the house of a lower class person, also called a plebeian. In the lower class, there were farmers, artisans, doctors, fishermen, and shopkeepers. In the upper class, the patricians were priests, senators, army officers, and businessmen. We'll see an example of their houses in a minute. The Romans could trade, socialize, and marry between classes, so cultures mixed. Fathers were like kings of the household and controlled their families. Here are the public toilets. When you had to go, you had to leave your house and walk here. Some toilets could fit up to 100 people at a time. They also used a communal sponge to wipe their butt. The Romans invented sewer systems. The complex system of sewers took waste from toilets to nearby rivers and streams. Welcome to the villa. A villa was a rich person's country house. It was bigger than their house in the city. It had many rooms, private baths, pools, gardens, and sometimes even heated flooring. This is a blacksmith/stone cutter. He makes weapons for the army and sells other tools to the market. This is the Colosseum. It's a stadium that could fit thousands of people at once and held the gladiator matches, chariot races. There's even a rumor that an emperor once filled it with water and had a ship battle. Emperor Commodus loved the gladiator fights, especially when they would fight exotic animals like ostriches, lions, and elephants, to name a few. He even invented an arrow to take off an ostrich's head. Here's a typical partition city house. They had feasts, including fish, eggs, cheese, vegetables, bread, and meat. They also ate pork, dormice, snails, boar, chicken, and pheasants. Over here is the farm. Rome had fertile soil because it was right near the Tiber River. The mild winters and warm summers helped crops to grow. Wheat, grapes, and olives were commonly grown. Boys and girls were educated by their parents till age 7. Girls learned to do housework, while boys often went to trade in the military. Rome had a powerful, well-trained army. If they were defeated, they would reorganize and learn from the experience. They conquered Greece, Persia, Egypt, France, Spain, and Portugal, and part of England, and a whole bunch more. The Tiber River was an important route for trade and transportation. It also was a source of fresh drinking water for thirsty Romans. In the early days, Rome had kings. In 531 BC, they formed a republic that was governed by a senate. Magistrates were politicians from wealthy families and became consuls and judges, head priests and lawmakers. When the republic fell at the time of Julius Caesar's assassination, they switched to emperors. The 12 Tablets was a group of laws written on 12 bronze tablets created in ancient Rome in 457 and 450 BC. This was one of the first laws that were passed down by government so that people could be treated equally. Some problems that the leaders had to deal with were disloyalty, corruption, diseases, lack of food, and economic problems. Rome was one of the biggest, wealthiest empires in the world. It lasted for about 1,000 years. It eventually ended due to poor rulers and a plague, and it being invaded by barbarians.